My friends, how's it going? I loved hearing from everybody over the past week. I had so many comments and text messages. It was great. I loved all of them. And now today, speaking of messages and posts, so in it's over 4 years ago, in August 2018, Elon Musk posted this tweet that shocked the financial world and had major legal implications like to this day. Okay, all he said was, "Am considering taking Tesla private at $420.
$420.
Whoa. Funding secured." Okay, so that's it. That's all he said. Here's the tweet right here. You can read it. And he has 22 million followers. That's a lot more followers than I have, right? So what happened was the Tesla was selling at much lower than 420. It was like say 360 or something. And if he's gonna sell it at $420 a share to some private entity, then what happens is everybody that owns those shares when it's sold gets $420. So the price of the shares shot up that same day, and it turned out to all be false. Okay. And now what we're gonna unravel is the S storm. You know what that stands for, right? The S storm that he's caused. We're now gonna unravel it. The legal implications were out of this world. So right away, the SEC gets involved, okay, the Security and Exchange Commission. So let me give you a very short background of this SEC. They were created in the 1930s after the stock market crash, because a lot of companies were going public and they were giving like misleading information. There was a lot of speculative trading, and it just caused so much financial ruins in the 1930s that the federal government came in and said, we need more laws to secure people's money and people's funds. And when a company starts making money, or how do I say it? When a company goes public, meaning they're going to get financing from all of the people, then we want to regulate it. All right. And that's what happened. Now, so the SEC gets involved, and in a short amount of time, they kind of came up with this kind of quick, you can call it a settlement, but it was with the caveat that the parties could still appeal it. And that settlement was that Elon Musk would pay a $20 million fine, and Tesla would pay a $20 million fine, and Elon Musk would step down as the chairman of the board. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, there's only one real chairman of the board. You know who that is, right? Frank Sinatra. right here. Anyway, so Elon Musk was the chairman of the board, but he steps down so that, and that was part of the ruling. And then a big one was that from then on, after this date, any tweets or posts that Elon Musk makes has to be approved by an attorney. And there's controls. Like, so part of the problem was that he was just like willy-nilly. Oh man, where does that term come from? Willy-nilly. I know a couple friends named that go by Willie, you know? Mateo's gonna look it up. I love it. All right. So to control him from being able to willy-nilly post anything about Tesla on Twitter or any social media, he had to get approval from an attorney that works for Tesla. A quick sidebar about that $40 million. A couple of funny things. So Elon Musk paid a $20 million fine, and Tesla had to pay a $20 million fine. And Elon Musk wasn't allowed to pay Tesla's fine because that would be kind of like a conflict of interest. So what he did, though, instead, is he purchased $20 million of shares. And the funny part about all of this is when he purchased those shares, he got it at a good deal, and then he ended up making all that money back, and then, you know, including the fine that he had to pay. So that was a kind of funny part about it. And then the $40 million, that took years to unravel, in the sense that it wasn't that the SEC got to keep all that money. What happened was the SEC put that money in a big fund, and then they would try to locate which investors kind of lost money and how much they lost because of Elon Musk's tweet. And then they would try to find those investors and give them a share. It took 4 years. And by the time they distributed the money, it was already up to almost $42 million with interest and everything. Things in the law are very slow. Imagine today if you got cheated out of some sort of money from, and then, you know, some big company was going to pay everybody something. And I told you, yeah, you're likely to get it in the year 2028, right? That's how it goes. That's how long some cases go. So willy-nilly, willy-nil, like 0, nil, not nilly. Yeah. Oh my God, that's what willy-nilly is. Okay. Willingly or unwillingly. So things that are willingly or unwillingly happening in a quick pace. So willy-nilly. Fudge, man. Okay. Now, the beauty about all of this, now this is going to there's going to be a lot more lawsuits over this and a lot more legal shenanigans that happen. And to understand this, all the different lawsuits that happen, let me give you a very brief history of Tesla. It starts in 2003 by two gentlemen, Martin and Mark. And now, it was not Elon Musk that founded Tesla, started Tesla, but it was him that kind of took it to the next level. He kind of drove it forward. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So in 2003, it starts by these two gentlemen. They wanted, you know, like electric cars and make electric cars. Now in 2004, Elon Musk comes in and he purchases a lot of shares. This is before it went public. So this is kind of like private funding. And he became the biggest shareholder. And he got his money, a little trivia, Mateo. You remember, you know where Elon Musk got all his money from? PayPal. Good job. Yeah, good stuff. I forgot about that until I was kind of like doing some of the research. Yeah, so he co-founded PayPal and he got like something like $100 million when, you know, from his investment in PayPal. And he used a lot of that money and wow, can you imagine getting in on Tesla at like what would now be maybe like $5 a share and it's like at 250 or so, you know what I'm saying? So he made the right choice, obviously. So he comes in 2004 and then in 2004, 2006, they get a lot of money from private investors and they haven't, mind you, sold one car yet. They're just, you know, designing it and kind of like making the plans and trying to figure out how to do this. And in 2008, Elon Musk becomes the CEO. And then what I meant by he's the one that kind of drove it forward, no pun intended. In 2010, they purchased a big plant in Fremont, California from Toyota. And that's a big one where they started making their cars. And it was in 2010 when Tesla goes public. Now, what I always say, right, is that my goal is to teach you the law with these like kind of funny stories and this one now being a funny tweet from Elon Musk. The whole thing about going public, it's what ends up happening is then they, after they secured a lot of funding, after they show that they're going to be profitable and kind of like how they're managing everything, when they get to a certain point, they could then go to the whole of United States and the world and going public, an initial public offering. And then they do that in 2010. And Tesla was the first American car company to do this since like Ford in the 1950s. Elon Musk was very big on social media and sending out posts and commenting on things. So in 2013, Tesla had to disclose to the Securities and Exchange Commission, okay, our CEO will talk business and talk about Tesla online, all right? Now comes this tweet in 2018 that shocks everything. And like I said, the first order of business was the SEC gets involved. They fine him $40 million. And then there's a class action lawsuit. And this is what I want to discuss here really quick. This a class action lawsuit against Elon Musk by shareholders that say that because he did this, you know, the stock shot up by a lot. And since its peak, Tesla has gone down. I mean, it's lost maybe like 50% of its value. I mean, not just because of this tweet, obviously, but it's lost a lot of value. So a lot of investors did lose a lot of money. And so there was a class action that was filed in California against Elon Musk saying that he screwed over all these investors. Now, how do I explain this? The leader of a publicly traded company, a CEO, has a lot of what they call fiduciary responsibilities to the shareholders. So he has to look out for the shareholders. He can't do something that's incompetent or he can't do something disloyal like something that would like benefit him to the cost of the shareholders, and he can't do something that's so irresponsible that it would hurt the share. So they filed a lawsuit and saying the following. When he said, one thing that bugs me is when someone starts a sentence with "am." Why didn't he just say, "I am considering taking Tesla private at 420"? Instead, he starts with "am." One of the Joe Samo. You know what else is a Joe Samo quirk? When someone says sorry, like he's like, "You mean I'm sorry?" Anyway, I don't know, little Joe Samo quirk here. Am considering taking Tesla private at 420, funding secured. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal is because it's basically these words, funding secured. So what does that mean to you, Mateo? Like he's got the money ready, he's got it waiting, and he's got somebody there to purchase Tesla at way more than the current value. Do you see what I'm saying? So that turned out to be, it didn't happen, and it was very short amount of time after this that he kind of walked us back and be like, no, we're not going private. And there's nobody that we don't have that kind of money to go private. So these shareholders sue him. And I loved how he got out of the lawsuit. Are you ready for this? Are you ready, Zeke? Are you sitting down? You're ready? Are you sure? Okay. He says in trial, well, I had a verbal commitment from the Saudi royals, and these investors in Saudi Arabia. It was a verbal commitment. So I kind of, I did have the funding secured that I thought from these Saudi investors. And I also had all of these, my own money that I had invested in these other companies like SpaceX and the SpaceX shares, like blew up. Sorry. I'll stop those, okay? All right. So all of those shares are worth so much. So with all my money and this verbal kind of commitment that I had from the Saudi royals, I did have the funding secured, okay? Now, that lawsuit was for, they were suing him for billions of dollars. And for the life of me, I can't figure this out. I'm about to say it. Elon Musk wins. A jury said, nah, it makes sense. He was about right. He didn't like screw over any of the shareholders. He didn't cause them to lose money. He didn't, he wasn't disloyal. I don't know. What do you think? You agree? Yeah, but no, but the problem is like it went up and then it went down a lot. You know what I'm saying? So the people that kind of held it as it went down a lot are saying, yeah, but
back up though. It's a stock market.
It's a stock market. This is what the jury said. The jury said, no, there's no real damages here. The stock was doing well. The jury also said, well, he had this verbal commitment. They believed him. Maybe it was true. Maybe the Saudis did kind of verbally say to him that we'll invest in your company. Maybe it was at a bar. Who knows? I have no idea. But they certainly believed him. And then they also believed when he said, hey, and I had my own money there sitting and waiting. So, now that trial took 5 years almost to get to that trial. Then I wish I could say that was all that was left, but there was much more. Okay. Oh, yeah. Zeke, what's up? That's a good question. How does he have a jury of his peers if there are no, we cannot find 12 Elon Musks, right? And this is you're saying a kind of complicated, how the jury, a lot of times when there's complicated jury issues, that's why you need these experts they have to figure a way to break it down to the jurors. And if they don't break it down to the jurors in a way that the jury would understand, then the jury would just rule in favor of the defendant because the plaintiff has that burden of proof. So if in a complex kind of situation, like that happens a lot, like if there's like an airplane crash or something and there's a dispute over how the mechanics kind of fell apart in the airplane, was it the engine or was it the pilot's fault, this and that. So a lot of times if you're the plaintiff and let's say you're the lawyer for the family members suing the airline manufacturer, Boeing, and you have to prove that it was the mechanics of the airplane and not the pilot that screwed up, you better find a way to get these experts to educate the jury, you see what I'm saying, in a way that they can understand. And if you don't, it's a simple answer. Then the defendant would win. Now,
it's not on the jury, it's on the prosecutor.
It's on, yeah, exactly. It's on the plaintiff to really to prove that. Now, the other thing Zeke said, how do we find a jury of his peers? The whole thing is, Now, that one, you're entitled to a jury of your peers in a criminal case. In a civil case, they don't necessarily have to be peers. However, the word peer is a very, very loose word, and there's been Supreme Court cases over this. It's like the word peer could be, it doesn't have to be the same age. It doesn't have to be the same race. It doesn't have to be the same social status. I think it's almost like, hey, did they grow up? I'm sorry, do they live in the same community that the case is going on right now? That's basically it's a low threshold in terms of when we're going to get peers like that. But I think overall in California, and I think it's unfortunate, like he moved the Tesla to your state, to Texas. I mean, California is where it all started, where it grew. I think also in California, because there were these legal scholars that said, oh, Elon Musk is going to lose billions of dollars. I mean, that is a very, very horrible thing for a CEO to do, and he won. I think California they loved Elon Musk. You know what I'm saying? They just love the guy. And he brought so much money and jobs and everything to California, and the jury just ruled in his favor. And then there was other lawsuits. There is a guy that's suing, a shareholder that's now suing, saying, well, this whole thing about how they're supposed to control Elon Musk and his posts, and what do you call it? Is it a tweet now still, or what do you call it when they post on? That's why I just say the word post. Yeah, post. Or what was it? He X'd? He didn't tweet. Anyway, whatever. So there's a guy, David Wagner. He's suing on behalf of the shareholders, saying, no, they're not doing a good job controlling him because he'll post things while he's stoned or he's on cocaine and he's on LSD, and so he's still posting all these things while I think that's going to go nowhere too, because to this day, after this tweet in August of 2018, he only can post anything about Tesla as long as an attorney approves it. That sucks, doesn't it? I wish Donald Trump had that same. Donald Trump would have been way better off if he was like, before anything gets sent, like it goes to a lawyer and a lawyer has to approve it before it posts. Then I think Donald Trump would be in about 80% less trouble than he would be in,
Not if it's Michael Cohen approving the post.
As long as it's not Michael Cohen approving the post. Yeah, an actual lawyer, a real lawyer, not some guy that's like secretly taping you. I think that would have been good. So even if he's stoned out of his mind and he's posting and then a lawyer approves it and then it gets posted, I think it's not going to go anywhere, Now comes a different lawsuit. Elon Musk himself filed a challenge to that ruling that he has to be controlled in this particular way and that he can't post what he wants about Tesla. And anytime he wants it, it has to be approved. And remember, this is something the government is imposing. This is the government saying that even as a private, owner, like a private individual here that is kind of running this publicly traded company, that his free, he's making this free speech argument saying, wait a minute, how is this fair? Anytime I post something, I have to run it by my lawyer. Oh, look at that, dude. Why not? Everything should be run by my lawyer, right? He's saying that this is, that is killing his free speech, that he shouldn't have to do that in order to run a company. Like that's like too burdensome. And if he tweets something or posts something that's incorrect or inaccurate, then whatever, like they could take their shots at him. And then, whatever repercussions happen. But this is kind of a prior restraint on his First Amendment right. What do you think?
I don't like censorship, man.
Mateo doesn't like it. Stop talking! No, just joking. Yeah, get it. Da, 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 da. Which reminds me of a joke I once heard. And then, this guy, I get in this Uber car and then the Uber driver is all excited about how he's, he talks to me about how free he is. He doesn't have to listen to anyone. He can do what he wants. And he's like, there's no control over him. He's a free man. And I said to him, shut up and turn left here. What do you think? Anyhow, okay. Can we get back to business now, Zeke? Did we take enough roads off here? Okay. So here's how this case goes. So he files lawsuits saying that that the kind of like Mateo is saying here, this whole thing, like the government is censoring him and forcing him like to not be able to post what he wants and when he wants, unless like an independent attorney at Tesla approves it. He files this First Amendment claim and he loses that in we call it the lower court. So there's the Supreme Court, that's the highest court in the federal court system. And then there's the Circuit Court of Appeals and there's the district court. So the district court rules against him, saying that, no, this is look, when there's a commercial speech as opposed to like a political or religious or, some sort of like artistic speech. Okay. When it's like a pure commercial speech, you have less rights, commercial speech. So if someone's saying, oh, this is unfair, I can't, advertise my car company on these billboards or something, that's like, okay, well, that's commercial speech. There's less kind of protection for that. Now, it's not that there's no protection, it's just less protection, So if this was something where like he's allowed to say, oh, I hate, Joe Biden, or I hate Donald Trump, or I think the U.S. government is spending too much money, whatever the heck. All that political speech and stuff, that is not being censored. The only thing being censored is if he posts something about Tesla, like something like, oh, we're going to make this much money this year, or we're manufacturing this many cars. Now, he still posts a lot of that, right? Because it gets approved by lawyers, but he won't post something crazy. So what they're saying is the court said, okay, if it was a censorship of that religious speech, that is afforded higher protection. That would be, potentially illegal. That would probably violate the First Amendment. However, because it's a censorship by your own company, and the censorship kind of relates to like kind of speech about like a commercial kind of deal, like the freaking car company's finances and things like that, then especially because, we want to, this is public money. So we want to make sure that we are taking care of the public here. If it was a private company, then there's less need for us to have to censor it. But because it's a public company, we are allowed to censor it. You with me? Did I go into much longer? Yeah. So the lower courts ruled in the SEC's favor. I think I'm with you though. The whole thing about censorship is no good, right? But over the decades here, it has been very like the SEC gets a lot of free reign in terms of when they could stop somebody from talking, or when they, tell someone that he has to no longer be a CEO, or remove these posts, or clarify this or clarify that, because of these reasons. We want to take care of the public, and this is just commercial speech. It's not religious, political, artistic, kind of social critique. All right. So the lower courts ruled against him. Then he filed an appeal all the way to the United States Supreme Court. You like that, saying like, I'm going to fight this to the United States Supreme Court. That's what he did. So he goes to the United States Supreme Court. What do you think the United States Supreme Court said? Let's start with Zeke. What's your guess? Shut him down? What do you think, Mateo? Shut him down? They did something like worse than shutting him down, right? Okay, they did shut him down, but it's a beautiful way, the way they did it. They just said, we're not even going to hear it. I love it. The Supreme Court is allowed to just say, you know what? We're not even going to take this. We're not even going to decide it. We're not saying yes to the lower court's opinion. We're not saying no. We're just not even going. When I used to teach law, I said to people, this would be like, you get in an argument with your brother or something, and you go to your mom or dad, and they say, get the hell out of my face. I'm not even gonna, I don't even want to talk to you about this. Like I'm not even gonna discuss this. Take your argument elsewhere. Okay. That is exactly what the United States Supreme Court did. They said, we're not gonna hear it. So to this day, because of this tweet 6 years ago, and that decision by the United States Supreme Court to not decide this. So ultimately, I love saying this, the Supreme Court decided not to decide this case. So they left the lower court's ruling intact. So to this day, 6 years later, anytime you see a post from Elon Musk that relates to Tesla, It was approved by, run it by my lawyer, not me, but a different run it by my lawyer. And it was approved before he can get it out there. I personally think it's a good thing. And I think that in only in this limited aspect, it's a good thing because, yeah, otherwise, if he does stuff like this, it could cause major market disruptions and it's going to be more kind of cluster messes to clean up later. All right, my friends, as always, I love hearing from you. What do you think about this Elon Musk, Tesla? Why don't you predict what it's going to be at, the Tesla shares in 1 year from today? To post it right now. 1 year from today, it's going to be at this amount. And we'll see next year who's correct. See you next week.